The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Careers with Sara on Armed Radio Global. I'm here every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk about salaries, I talk about resumes, I talk about interviews, about career changes, about any questions that a job seeker might have. So if you are a job seeker and you are looking to get advanced in your career, or you're looking to transition in your career, this is the right show for you. If you have any questions and you need to contact me, you can email me letstalkcareerswithsara@gmail.com, or you can go on Facebook, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, and message me there. I have also a Facebook group called Let's Talk Careers Inner Circle. You are more than welcome to join me and see the discussions in there, and as well post any questions you have, and I will be able to answer you at any time. So let's discuss about what happened last week. Last week I was talking about salary negotiation part 1, and this salary negotiation I was referring to, we're talking about the resumes in order to get an interview, preparing for the resume, the interview, getting a job offer, gathering information about the company, preparing for the interview, handling the issue of money, what the interviewer is looking for, and problem issues. So tonight, I'm going to talk about responding to the offer. What can you get? How much should you ask for? And leaving your present job and getting a raise in your current job. If I have more time, I'll discuss more topics, but for now, I have budgeted my time appropriately. So if you are listening to my show for the first time, I will advise you to have a pen and a paper, because I have a lot of information to share and you would like to take notes. If you haven't missed my previous shows, you are more than welcome to go to my Facebook page, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, and they are going to be listed there, all the shows, the links and stuff. So let's start with what can you get? Hiring bonuses. Okay. Let me see. Actually, let's try responding to the offer. So this is a stage of a salary negotiation, responding to the offer. You now have an offer on the table and the ball is in your court. Is it a good offer? What more can you ask for? Let's consider those factors and then we can move on to the actual negotiation. When is the best time to start talking about what the job pays? Not until the company is ready to make you an offer, and even when you may be better off to defer the discussion of compensation. On the application where it asks you for expected salary, write negotiable. If the interviewer presses you, say, I'm sure that we can negotiate something that is mutually acceptable, but let's discuss that when we both feel that I'm right for the job. The ideal time of bringing this up is when the employer is drooling to hire you and thinks it will lose you unless it makes you a great offer now. Remember the all-time encyclopedia of salespeople who would come to your door. They would never give you the price until they had built your desire to own the encyclopedia. If they knocked on your door and said, do you want to buy a set of encyclopedia? They cost $700. They would never sell any. Build the desire for that employer to hire you. Build it to a fever pitch before you talk about compensation. I will tell you about my story about having a desire to hire me. I was working in a company for several years, and I was offered for a higher position as a director. I refused the position because I wanted a set of hours I needed the flexibility because I had little kids. But to be a director, you need to work full time and really work overtime, and for the salary that will not really change because you're not hourly anymore. So for me, it didn't work out. So I said, no, I'm not ready for it. But then I realized, because I have credentials, I have the experience, I have the loyalty, it had been used on papers for whatever reason. And I found out later that this is actually, I felt I'm being used for not even a raise, not even a compensation. So I emailed HR, I emailed my manager, CC'd everyone who needed to see the email, and I really explained that I'm wearing too many hats. I have too many responsibilities. I don't mind getting those responsibilities. However, I need to get a raise. I gave them the set amount that I'm interested. So let's say it was $5 more. So I was again offered for that position and I refused. And then they just, I said, I need to stay motivated. If you still want me to stay in the company, there's nothing for me to get motivated by doing what I'm doing. And they were considering my voice, and then they decided to give me half of what I asked, which is $2.50 raise. But for that time, it was good for me because I felt I had achieved what I wanted, because this is what I deserve. So they were not willing to give me up to go to their competitors because they needed somebody with my credentials, somebody who is loyal, who knows what's going on, who knows the papers for the inspections, that knows the rules, the regulations, whatever. So I knew all of that stuff. However, and besides that, the company was short-staffed. So that was a great time to ask for a raise, because if you threaten you're leaving, then there is a chance that they're actually going to listen to you. So what can you get? So let's start with hiring bonuses. So let's say you have a salary, you're not happy and you're not sad, like it's in the middle. It's not like okay, salary. However, you should also consider about other options that they have. For example, hiring bonuses. Will companies pay a hiring bonus? Yes, this is a popular way to attract a good employee without the difficulties that can be caused internally by paying top wages to a new employee. Expect to be able to negotiate up to 3 months to base pay. The more you emphasize the bonus that you will be leaving behind at your current employer, the more chance you have of getting a hiring bonus. You will probably be asked to sign a statement that you will repay the bonus if you don't stay with a new company for 12 months. Don't worry about signing it because the company knows it has almost no chance of getting the money back from you. You should give it back, of course, but it would be, to all intents and purposes, a voluntary act. If you have negotiated all you can on salary, try getting a hiring bonus, a year-end bonus, or a 90-day review based on performance. Severance package. Can you negotiate severance package up front? It's possible, but not easy for a salaried employee. If you were in top management, it would be much easier. If you have a severance package with your current employer, by all means, ask your new employer to match it. If your new company is in play, you would have a reason to say, I'm concerned about corporate takeovers in this day and age. What protection will you give me the event of the company is sold and my position is eliminated? Because talking about leaving the company before you even start is a sensitive issue. An agent or attorney negotiate your compensation package for you is in a better position to handle this. Companies need to make a profit on you. Yes, you must accept that companies need to make more profit from you than they pay you. That's thinking as a capitalist, and employers love you for it. You would be amazed at how many young people entering the marketplace think that their employer is cheating them because they're making more money for their company than the company is paying them. Well, duh, of course they have to make a profit on an employee. That's the way they stay in business. Employees love to hear you say, If you are going to pay me the $100,000 that I think I'm worth, I'll make you about $500,000 a year for you so that you can be both happy. So that we can be both happy. Let's talk about how I can do that for you. Now, other negotiable factors. A whole bunch of things are negotiable, many of which will get overlooked by focusing on the cash in hand benefits. So let's start looking at benefits, okay? Insurance, health, dental, vision, disability, and life. Time off, sick days, personal days, paid holidays, vacation. How many days and how can they be taken? Maternity, paternity leave, travel, carpooling, free parking, reimbursement per mile, bus or subway reimbursement, professional advancement, training courses, attendance at association meeting, and reimbursement for travel and expenses, dues for membership in professional associations, recreation, health club membership, golf club membership, access to company-owned facilities, miscellaneous, discounts on company products and services, financial assistance with emergency loans. How will disputes be settled? By arbitration or legal action? Who will pay for this? Now let's look at work-related issues. Size and location of office. Can you work from home using a company-supplied computer and a high-speed internet access? How flexible are your working hours? How quickly and how often will your compensation be reviewed? To whom will you report and who will report to you? Other forms of compensation can be signing bonus, stock options, profit sharing, retirement plans, severance pay, and performance bonuses. And relocation allowances. Is packing of furniture included in moving costs? What about days off and reimbursement for cost of house hunting? Bonus for moves such as month salary, selling cost for old home, buying cost for new home, a cost of spouse finding a new job. As you can see, there are a myriad of things that can be overlooked. Decide before you go into final negotiations what you must have and what you are willing to give up or trade away for a higher salary. Now let's go over when to mention how much you expect. Should you raise the issue of compensation up front so that you are not wasting your time on a job that doesn't pay enough? Absolutely not. Never raise the issue of compensation until the employer brings it up. For you to raise the issue would be confrontational and might be considered arrogant. However, carefully you phrase the issue, it could well sound as though you are saying, I've got better things to do if you can't afford to pay me what I think I'm worth. So, for me, when I am interviewing somebody and I don't bring up the salary discussion, at the end when I say, do you have any questions for me? Then, only then, you can ask about how much, what's the salary for this position, or what is the salary range. For me, if I am not sure what the salary is, I will tell you the range. But if I am, I'll tell you upfront that this is the salary, that you are going to get paid. This is the only time, not upfront, not whenever you feel like it, not to cut off the interviewer. It's not what you are there. If you feel like you are wasting time, then by all means don't go to the interview. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now, what to do if the employer insists on knowing your salary history? So let's start with the 3 rules about requests for salary history, assuming that you want to make much more than you have in the past. Number 1 is never offer to give information on past salary. Number 2 is, if asked, try to avoid answering with tactics such as, let's hold off until we both feel that this is the right job for me. Or you can say, we can work that out later. Finding the right career path is far more important for me at this stage. Then number 3 is, if forced to answer, don't lie. They could fire you for it later. But fog your response with, the total compensation package was around $95,000. Now, include in that estimate the value to you of every possible benefits. Now, if you were listening to my show last week, I was referring to you the compensation package, what is. So I'm going to rewind a little bit and tell you a little bit what a compensation package is. When you are offered, for example, in your current job, you're getting $40,000. I'm giving you a hypothetical example. Now, you don't want to say you are getting $40,000. You times that by 2. Okay, whatever salary you're getting, you times that by 2. So what is a compensation package? Compensation package is a base salary, that's what you get, the bonuses, both actual and potential, the vacation pay, the stock options, travel allowances, health plans, life insurance, access to company health club, employee discounts, the benefits of not having a long commute to work, reimbursement for meals, frequent flyer points collected, hotel frequent guest points collected, reimbursement for tuition, training given by company beyond that of learning about the company, retirement plans for 1K contributions, free cappuccino machine in the lunchroom. All of this, it's a compensation package. You are not going to say only your base salary because you are getting more than your base salary. So think about it as a compensation package, what you can say. If you are earning $40,000, tell them $80,000 your compensation package was. Okay? Don't really say the base salary. It's not lying, it's the truth. Now, you can say also, I accepted a low salary to get experience in that profession. Or you can say, obviously I wouldn't work for that little today. Or you can say, remember that was in Charleston, West Virginia. I needed twice as much here in San Francisco. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I had a friend who is a teacher who was living in New York, and she was earning $55,000 a year. Her husband decided to move to Florida, so she moved with him to Florida. Now, before moving to Florida, she had to find a job first. So in Florida, she applied for a job in a private school for a teacher, and they offered her $31,000. So she asked them if it's possible for them to match what she was earning currently, at least that. They said, this is New York, what you receive, that's their salary range there, but in Florida, that's the salary that we give, $31,000. Now, she's not used to it. For really, it's like a slash of $30,000, 30% of her salary. So she applied for DOE. DOE, if you know public schools, they have like a great benefit package. You have medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance. You have retirement plans. You have all kinds of like winter break, spring break, summer breaks. So they offered her $41,000. Now, $41,000, she was able to live with it only because they had a great benefits. So think about saying that I was living in New York and now I'm moving to Florida. Can you match the salary? Expect that they will say no. So, but don't overlook their like benefit packages, because their benefit packages is really important for you, your family, of course, and everyone else. Now, you can say also, at that time, there were a lot of computer programmers looking for work. You can say teachers, you can say salespeople looking for work. So salaries were severely depressed. Or you can say that's why they were paying me, but I was up for a huge raise just as I decided to make a career move to broaden my experience. So there are many things you can just avoid saying your salary expectations, but don't be shy if you want to say the number. It's fine. Now, key points to consider. A hiring bonus is a definite possibility. Okay, that's a little recap here. It's a way for the employer to recruit you without paying you more than it's paying its current employees. And don't be concerned about signing a promise to pay the hiring bonus back if you don't stay. The employer knows it can never collect. And stress the bonus that you will be giving up if you leave your present employer now. And try for a year-end bonus and salary review after 90 days. A severance package is a possibility, particularly if you are up in top management, but it's a sensitive issue to discuss in a hiring interview. Save it for later. Employers need to make a profit off you. Stress how much you are going to make for them, and your compensation request will seem more reasonable. Don't focus entirely on how much they are going to pay you. There are many other factors that can be valuable to you. And don't talk about former earnings. If you are forced to have a reason for accepting an assignment that paid you less than you are worth. Now, I'm going to take a little break and stay tuned with me. We'll discuss more about salary negotiations. There are so many things to discuss about, and it's really, I have only 1 hour to that is budgeted to my show, so we're going to squeeze in as much as I can in order for you to learn the tactics. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. Hello, this is Sara Yusupov. Stop by my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I will discuss about your dream job, career coaching, answering your questions regarding careers, exclusively on TuneIn Satellite and the Armed Radio Global Networks. Now, let's go over how much you should ask for, how employers decide on the amount of an offer. So how does an employer decide how much to offer you? A human resource director at one of the biggest international companies in the world told me that his company uses 3 key factors. Number 1 is what you made on your last job. Number 2 is surveys on the marketplace to determine what the competition is offering for similar jobs. And number 3 is internal equity. Would this offer be fair and in line with that current employees are being paid? If you are asking for more than the employer is currently paying its people, you should negotiate a one-time hiring bonus. Now, how do you calculate what the job is worth? The internet is a powerful source of information. The website salary.com has a comprehensive salary calculator. Let's say that I'm looking for a job as a commercial real estate appraiser, and I look at the site's alphabetical list of job titles. I find that number 9 is appraiser, commercial real estate. It gives a description of a job as responsible for the appraisal of residential and commercial properties, investigates the fair market value and property ratings through analysis and inspection of properties, ensures that the properties are in accordance with departmental specifications, requires a bachelor's degree and at least 7 years of experience in the field or in related area. Familiar with a variety of fields, concepts, practices, and procedures, relies on experience and judgment to plan the accomplished goals, performs a variety of tasks, may lead and direct the work of others. A wide degree of creativity and latitude is expected, typically reports to a head of unit or department. The site shows some suggested job site titles: appraisal manager, manager of appraisal, real estate appraisal manager. By clicking through with my zip code, I find that the website will give me a base salary and bonus without charging me a fee. I find that the median pay is $84,035. That means, according to the site's survey of HR directors, half are paying more than that and half are paying less. It also shows me that if you add the median annual bonus, it will bring total salary of $89,000. Another great source is salaryexpert.com. By clicking on a profession, let's say cardiologist, and a city, Los Angeles, for example, you quickly get a free report that shows you the cardiologist working in Cyberpress, California, now earns an average salary of $239,000. Half of those in this position would earn between $151,000 and $656,000. The 70th and 67th percentile. These numbers are derived from real area-specific survey data. When benefits and bonuses are added to the salary, The average total compensation for this position would be $303,000. Both of these services offer more comprehensive information for a small fee. Obviously, these reports can be of great value in a salary negotiation. When an employer makes you a low offer, you can say, I researched this on the internet at salary.com and salaryexpert.com, and they indicated the median salary was $15,000 more than that. Now, calculating what college graduates are worth. Go to the website jobweb.com. It offers a wealth of information for college graduates on job opportunities, expected salaries, and which professions are hot. And then calculating the cost of living at a new location. The National Association of Realtors has a website that will calculate and compare the cost of living for you. Go to homefair.com. Click on the salary calculator, which is in the research calculators section. Enter the city that you are leaving and the city you are going to. For example, it will tell you that if you are making $100,000 a year in Charleston, South Carolina, you will need to make $145,000 in Laguna Beach, California. That's a key issue in salary negotiation that involve a move, and it's a valid issue for which you should expect compensation. So as you can see, negotiations are just a wide opportunity for you to just go and check what is available and never overlook or underestimate. Now let's continue with our step. Now, leaving your present job. Okay, this is a very big step that I feel that you should be really know what to expect. Now, negotiating severance after you get fired. You would have been better off to negotiate severance pay when you join the company, but you still have some options available to you. So here are some suggestions. First, check your state law. You may find that many things are mandated by law. There are no federal laws about severance pay. Certainly, the employer owes you for any work done, vacation time, and perhaps sick days and you haven't taken, but it may also be required to make health coverage portable. For example, a quick Google search told me that in my state, New York, the law requires payment of unused vacation pay, but not unused sick pay. There are no laws mandating severance pay in other areas of the state. So don't be too discouraged if the state law doesn't help you. There are many other reasons for your company to offer you severance pay other than that it's mandated. A simple attitude of fairness and appreciation for the work you've done. The employer wants you to speak well of the company. And the employer doesn't want the hassle of a lawsuit claiming that it discriminated against you. And the employer doesn't want you to stealing employees to go with you to your next company. And the employer might pay you for promise not to go with a competitor. Don't sign anything unless you have reviewed it carefully when you were not under emotional stress. You may be signing away some valuable rights. In the heat of the moment, it may look generous, but if the employer is buying you off because you were fired improperly, you may be settling for far less than you should. If your employment contract called for severance pay to be waived, if the employer fired you for good cause, be careful that the employer is not concocting a reason for firing you. The company shouldn't fire you for a minor infraction in your records from years ago, and it shouldn't be doing it for trivial offenses such as revealing non-sensitive corporate information in a job application to a new employer. And finally, be aware that if the employer offers you a severance package and you turn it down, the employer is no longer obligated to offer you that package, although many will do so out of sense of fair play. Now, quitting a job to job hunt full-time. Thinking that you're not fired, but you are quitting. Now, if you're bored on your present job and feel that it's time to make a change, you may think that it's better to quit first so that you can devote full-time to job hunting rather than sending out resumes while you're still working. Don't quit. It's a lot easier to get another job while you're still working, and it's definitely easier to negotiate a good deal when you have to quit your present job to start a new one. Before you give up on your current job, though, consider the possibility that you are going through job burnout. Is it really necessary to make this drastic move, or could you revive your interest in your present employer? So listen to this, some things that cause a job burnout and a few solutions. You have lost your mentor. Work used to be exciting because you had a boss who believed in you and encouraged you. That mentor got promoted and your new boss doesn't take the same interest in you. So what is the solution in this case? Work out a career plan with your new boss. Find out that you would have to do to get the next promotion, and work out a plan. Sell yourself to your current boss the way you would to a new employer. And your company has downsized, and fewer people are doing more and more work. It has become a grind. The solution is research solution to the dilemma by researching ways to mechanize the work. Would new software speed things up? Can the department be reorganized to be more efficient? Are some tasks obsolete and you are only doing them because you have always done them that way? Be the hero who creates the solutions. Another thing can be that you've been doing the same job for so long now that your work no longer challenges you. You'll never make the big bucks being a drone. As I point out in my previous shows, there are some people who are saying changing use, changing value. That means that in any type of work will always go up in value because of scarcity and inflation, but will take a dramatic jump in value if you change its use. If you, for example, buy a home on a main street and it get it zoned commercial to that it can be used for business, the property takes a big jump in value. If you buy an apartment building and convert it into condos so that you can sell them separately, the building takes a big jump in value. That principle applies to people too. You will get cost of living increase if you stay doing the same work and you are doing. But if you want to take a dramatic jump in income, you've got to change your use to the company. The solution is take some courses at a local college. Take a look at the audio and video courses offered by my shows, okay? And attend your industry convention so that you can learn about new trends. Then learn some specific skills that can lead to more exciting and lucrative future. Now, living with dignity, meaning that you give 2 weeks notice. So you have landed a new job that pays much better than your current job, which makes you feel that your current employer has cheated you. Should you let the old employer know how you feel because it would help the employer in the future? Absolutely not. There is a protocol about leaving an employer that says you never criticize the old company, you never talk about the new company, and you do everything you can to leave on good terms. Remember that you will probably need a good reference from this employer. So make your resignation letter short and to the point. For example, you ready? Pen and paper? You can say, I have accepted a position with another company and will leave your employee at the end of the month. Unless you want me to leave sooner. I have enjoyed my time here and have nothing but respect and admiration for the company, the management, and the other employees. No doubt your fellow employees will try to find out where you are going and why you are leaving, but don't tell them. I'm not telling anyone where I'm going because I don't want to imply that the grass is any greener there. I hope that we'll remain friends after I leave and you will hear all about it then. Do not say that. And that's class, and it's the way to go out. Then you will be able to look back at your time at this company with pride. Now, let's go over getting a raise in your present job. I'm sure we all want that, right? We don't want to have changes. We don't want to go and look for a new job. We just want to get it over with. You're doing a good job and you want your present boss to increase your pay. What should you do? Other than talking cost of living increases, it's hard to get bosses to dig into their pockets and pay you more of their profits. If you want to substantially improve your income, it will be a lot easier if you get yourself promoted within the company. You should have a plan to achieve the position you want at the company and share the plan with your boss. Let's say that you are a salesperson. Within 18 months, you want to be promoted to a district sales manager. In 2 more years, you want to be regional sales manager. Within 2 more years, you want to be national sales manager. In 2 more years, you want to be a vice president of marketing. Talk this over with the president of your company and see if it's realistic. Ask what you would have to accomplish in each position to be worthy of the next step. Your president will love you for this. He's got a highly motivated and ambitious employee who wants to do a great job at each stage. You've got a workable plan for increased income and you won't have to grovel of cost of living increases. So this is the only way to go. Let's take a short break and I'll be right back.
Found a place to celebrate? But wait, you are missing a sweet table. With fancy desserts and a menu full of items of your choice. Call 347-265-5063. You can have a sweet table as if you are a celebrity. Quality worth every penny. Order from New York Artisan Bakery. Want to win your party? Call 347-265-5063.
If you are a salesperson, you are probably very familiar with closing tactics. If you are not in sales, this may be all new to you. A closing tactic is a technique to get the other person to agree to something faster than he or she otherwise would. When do you use closing tactics in salary negotiations? In 4 places. A personal assistant has called you to discuss your resume and get more details from you. Closing tactics will help you convert this to a face-to-face interview. You're having a preliminary interview at the company. Closing tactics will help you get to the next round of interviews. You've had several interviews, but the company is not yet ready to make an offer. Closing tactics will help you get an offer on the table. You have countered a salary offer. Closing tactics will help you get a positive response faster. If you are applying for sales or sales management job, closing tactics serve another purpose. They let you demonstrate your selling skills to the prospective employer. If the company is hiring a salesperson, the employer expects you to sell him or her on hiring you. If you don't sell yourself hard and well, he or she will be disappointed. So, I'm going to discuss about some of the closing tactics that I've seen top salespeople use to get the sale when a lesser salesperson would have settled for a let me think it over. And I first made my living selling when I was 18 years old, and I've been selling or managing salespeople ever since. In that time, I've seen these closes work miracles. And if you memorize them by listening to my show over and over, they will do wonders for your salary negotiations. So let's start with tugboat close. If you ever stood on the banks of the mighty Mississippi, you've no doubt marveled on the tugboats that hold the barges down the river. A tiny tugboat, no more than 30 feet long, can pull a string of barges, each one weighed down with more than 10,000 tons of cargo. When I sail my sailboat near Los Angeles harbor, I watch with amazement as a tiny tugboat can maneuver a 300,000-ton super tanker. What's the secret of the tugboat's incredible power? The tugboat skipper knows that he can move the largest load if he does it a little bit at a time. If he tried to force that supertanker to change its direction, he couldn't do it. However hard he revved up his engines and attacked that supertanker, he would only bounce off. A little bit at a time, he can do the most incredible things. What does this have to do with negotiating a salary? A little bit at a time, you can do the most amazing things. A little bit at a time, you can move the most intractable HR director around and get him or her to make you an offer. I once got a $250,000 loan from a banker using the tugboat close. I owned about 3 houses with another investor, and I wanted to buy him out so that I would own them all. To do it, we needed to get this banker to make a $250,000 loan secured only by a second mortgage on the property. At first, the bank refused to make such a risky investment. The other investor and I asked to meet with the vice president, who only restated his position. However, we gently persisted, knowing that as long as he wouldn't throw us out, we were getting closer to getting the loan approved. An hour later, he had agreed to make the loan, and we would cross-secure it with a $100,000 certificate of deposit. We continued to restate our position without any confrontation, knowing that we were nudging him around. Another hour later, he agreed to make the loan secured only by the property. The next time you're in an employment interview where you are convinced that the employer will never change his mind about making you an offer, think of those tugboats nudging that huge oil tanker around. Employers do change their minds. Just because they told you no a minute ago, an hour ago, or yesterday doesn't necessarily mean that they will say no again if you ask them one more time. A little bit at a time, you can change anyone's mind. Now, there is another close. It's called paddock close. When I was a teenager, I attended Israeli school of photography for 2 years. During my vacation, I earned extra money by photographing thoroughbred horses for breeders. This is a unique branch of photography because the breeders don't want any photographic style. They need a photograph that looks like any other photograph of horse at stud, so that the breeders can accurately evaluate it. It's a side shot with the far legs of the horse slightly advanced so the breeders can see all 4 legs. It's difficult to get temperamental thoroughbred stallions to stand that way. If you lead the horse in front of the camera and he's not standing properly, you can tug on his leg all you want, but he will just put it back the way he decided to stand in the first place. That's the way some applicants try to change the employer's mind, with brute force. The only way to change the weight of the stallion was to get his mind off the way he decided to stand before. I will lead him around the paddock, talking gently to him to get his mind off the decision he had made earlier. Then I will lead him back in front of the camera and see how he was standing now. If he still wasn't standing the way I wanted him to, I would patiently lead him around the paddock once more and try again. Some employers can be likened to those stallions. They say no to you for no better reason than because that horse decided to stand with its legs together. When that happens, remember the stallion and take them for a mental walk around the paddock. Don't try to force them to change their minds. Instead, tell a little story to take their mind off the decision they made. Think of yourself. I asked the right closing questions, but my timing was off. I'll distract them and return to the closing questions in a few minutes. After you have mentally walked them around the paddock, go for the close again. If they still say no, walk them around the paddock again. And after you have distracted them with a story, go for the close again. Great salespeople can do that 5 or 6 times without becoming frustrated. Excellent salespeople can do it 10 or 12 times and persist. Never think of a no as a refusal. Simply think of it as a sign that you need to walk the HR director around the paddock one more time. And another close is called "That Wouldn't Stop You" close. This is the simplest close that I'm going to teach you, and it will probably seem ludicrous to you, but until you have tried it, you won't believe how powerful it can be. I'll tell you somebody's story that I admire. His name is Roger. So Roger's son told him when he was selling new cars, whenever he had a customer raise an objection, instead of trying to argue that the customer was wrong or find a way to work around the objection, he learned to say, "But that wouldn't stop you from going ahead today, would it?" At first, he felt stupid doing it because he was sure that the customer would ridicule him. However, he discovered that a remarkable number of times the buyer would back away from the objection. They would say, "You only have the car in red? We wanted green." He would respond, "But that wouldn't stop you from going ahead today, would it?" And they would say, "Well, no, I guess it wouldn't." It sounds outrageous, doesn't it? But if you try it, I think you will end up kicking yourself, because you will find that objections that you would think would be deal killers don't need a response. The employer says you don't have any experience in making left-handed widgets. You say, "But that wouldn't stop you from hiring me and training me, would it?" He may well say, "Well, I guess not, if you are willing to work as hard as you say you will." The mark of power closer is that he or she knows that he or she doesn't have to satisfy every objection. If you decide to counter every objection the employer brings up, you will begin to feel that you are in a shooting gallery, where every time you knock down the objection, another one pops up. Now we still have some time. Let's go over the "you can afford it" close. My travel agent used this close on me to get me to spend $7,000 that I had no intention of spending. With the right person in the right circumstances, I think that it's very powerful. Several years ago, my cousin Julian and I decided to spend a month in Israel. The trip would include climb on mountains, go to Jerusalem, and visit to again persevere in places. Just before we left, we happened to see the movie Gorillas in the Mist, the story of Diana Foss's fight to save the almost extinct mountain gorillas in Rwanda. Fascinating. By this, I called my travel agent, Tess Bison, to see if we could visit the gorillas while we were in Israel. She started shaking and called me back a few days later. "There are only 29 silverback gorillas left in the world," she told me. "They are all in the area of Central Africa, where Rwanda, Uganda, and Zaire meet. Because there are so few and none of them are in captivity, it's almost impossible to visit them. However, the brother of the president of Zaire owns a small lodge up in the mountains, and I can get you in the week before the holidays. It will cost you an extra $7,000 to do it." So imagine, I'm in Israel and I needed to go to Africa. When I heard the price, I almost choked. We were not naturalists with a lifetime ambition to see those gorillas. All we had done was to see a movie and became curious about them. Tess, I said, I'm not sure I want to pay $7,000 to see some gorillas. Her response was brilliant. She said, oh, come on, Sarah, you want to do it. You can afford to do it. Go ahead and do it. I thought that it was one of the best closes I'd ever heard. Of course, she flattered me by thinking that I had that much money to throw around, but the truth was that I could afford to do it, and I did want to do it. I told her to book it, and it turned out to be the highlight of our trip. Remember that you can't afford it close when you are dealing with an employer who is choking on how much money you are asking him or her to pay you. He's saying, I've never paid $200,000 for a sales manager in my life. You smile and say, come on, you know I'll do a terrific job for you, and you can afford me. Go ahead and hire me. Remember that you've got to build the desire to hire you first. It's not going to work unless he or she is drooling to get you on board. These tactics work all the time. Now, another one is leave them alone close. Another Roger's stories. When Roger was a teenager in England, he sold appliances for a living and frequently sold to husbands and wives. He learned that he could really raise his closing percentages if he left them alone for a few minutes toward the end of his presentation. If he stayed with them the whole time, he risked losing the sale. You see, however well they knew each other, they wouldn't read the other person's mind. They weren't sure if their spouses wanted to buy or not. Leaving them alone for a while gives them a chance to ask each other, what do you think, dear? This doesn't just apply to husbands and wives. You might be selling yourself to the president and vice president of a company. The president may be eager to go ahead and hire you, but he or she wants to be sure that the vice president is on board and will enthusiastically support the hire, or the vice president may be eager but isn't sure the president will overrule him or her. Give them some time alone to resolve those issues, and getting hires will be easier for you. Once Roger learned the art of leaving them alone for a while, much of his problems in closing sales went away. So don't make the employers ask you for time to talk it over. Give it to them. You don't have to say, let me give you time to think about it. Simply find an excuse to leave them for a few minutes, such as fetching coffee or using the restroom. This will be sufficient enough. Now, there is another one. It's called the Vince Lombardi close. This is a terrific close for add-on items such as company car or country club membership. When you are selling yourself to a prospective employer, a psychological resistance sometimes builds up in his or her mind. As employer approach the point of making a decision, they start to resist making the decision. Perhaps they feel anxious that they may be doing the wrong thing, or that they are not getting the best deal from you. Whatever the reason, the tension builds until the moment they make the decision to hire you. Then once the decision has been made to hire you, a remarkable change takes place in their mind. Having made the decision, their mind does anything it can to reinforce the decision just made. That's when you can get them to give you a company car or a corner office. Car salespeople know this, don't they? They know that if they can close you on any make and model of car, even a stripped down one, then they can get you into a closing room and add on all the other little extras that they really build the profit on into the car. One rule of power closing is that you don't have to close on everything up front. Once you reach that point of agreement, the employer stops being your opponent and becomes your partner in business success. That's when you can make the second effort and add on all those valuable extras. Vince Lombardi always used to talk about the second effort. He loved to show his Green Bay Packers film clips of receivers who almost caught the ball but couldn't quite hang on to it. But instead of letting it go, they made a second effort and caught it before it hit the ground. Or running backs who were tackled but still managed to wriggle free and make the touchdown. Vince Lombardi could tell his players that everybody is out there making the first effort. They wouldn't be on the team if they didn't know how to play the game well and were out there doing everything that he told them to do. But everybody's doing that. Every team in the league is doing that. The difference Vince Lombardi would say between the good players and the great players is that the great players will make that second effort. When everyone else thinks that the play is lost, they'll still keep trying. Perhaps you're having your first interview with a company and you sense that it's not going well. They're beginning to conclude the interview without any talk of a second interview. You might say, I'm sure that you have tests that you like to give applicants. Why don't I take those tests as long as I'm here? Making that second effort will keep you in the group of people who are still being considered. The difference between negotiating a good salary offer and a great employment package often rests with your ability to make that extra effort. When every other applicant would be saying, this is a good job offer, don't push your luck. You make one more effort if you want to be a great closer. Take a tip from Vince Lombardi. When everyone else is saying give up, you've tried hard enough. You need to give it one more effort.
You are tuning in to Let's Talk Careers with Sara. I'm aired every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. In this show, I talk about career advancement, resume revamps, interview expectations, how to stand out from the crowd, how to brand yourself, and skills you need to become a CEO. All of this is on Armed Radio online show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, exclusively on TuneIn Satellite and the Armed Radio Network.
I am running out of time, so that will be another topic we'll discuss in my show perhaps next Wednesday. And I would like to say thank you for those who are listening to me. Thank you so much for doing your homework, by listening to experts like me about jobs, about resumes, and about how to be happy in a work environment. So I really want to say thank you again. So I'm going to see you next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Armed Radio. Let's Talk Careers with Sara.
You are tuning in on Armed Radio and Let's Talk Careers with Sara every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk about careers and job hunting. If you would like to ask a question or would like to hear about previous shows that you have missed, you can find me on Facebook at Let's Talk Careers with Sara. You can learn about jobs, tips, and advice on my page. If you have a career-related question, you can just message me on Facebook.